trying to make
Oh,
me
then
sad.
he takes 5. I mean, come on.
He's,
What are you doing?
he's giving me his trick or treat candy. You're a good man. Say hello to these characters. Okay?
Hey, guys.
But this is a Yankee fan, despite the fact that he's my 7-year-old son. Okay, because he's got a mother, right?
Welcome to the world. Welcome to the world.
And he went to the World Series.
Gentlemen, welcome to the BallNine Roundhouse. I am your host, Chris Vitali, and I want to go around and say hello. We have a couple first-time guests here today. Joining us is former White House Communications Director, long-suffering Mets fan, and current founder and managing partner of Skybridge Capital, Anthony Scaramucci is here, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going, Anthony?
I'm great. It's an honor to be on. Big shout out to Kevin. I haven't seen you in a while. Bobby V for mayor, Kevin. I'm going to leave you with that. Okay?
Oh my God! What do you guys live?
All right, he's out there. He's out there knocking on doors.
Hey,
guy
we do know this, Mooch. We do know this. Nobody would work harder for
There's no doubt about that. I'm going to tell you what. He's run a great campaign. I know we're here to talk baseball, not politics, but Bobby V for mayor. V for mayor.
We also want to welcome another first-time guest, senior contributor to Forbes, BBWAA member and guitar player extraordinaire, also a King's X and Rush fan like me. Maury Brown is here. Maury, how are you?
Maury. Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Hey, and let's say that if Bobby V runs, he has to wear the mustache. Out of the Mets dugout. I think that would be probably his best campaign thing right there. Come out with the mustache like he did, when he got kicked out. I think that'd be great.
A great baseball moment.
And now for our returning guests who need absolutely no introduction, we have our very own America's most beloved sports writer, member of the New York State Baseball Hall of Fame. Kevin Kernan's with us once again. Wouldn't be a roundhouse without Kernan. So how's it going, brother?
Doing great. Interesting to talk to a couple new and very interesting people, and Mooch and I go way back, and we'll tell a story later about how he did a great thing for the Mets, great thing for the fans by saving Mike Piazza. 9/11.
I know exactly where you're going with that. And last but certainly not least, my battery mate from the 1986 Belleville champion Indians, Mr. Effectively Wild, and most importantly, the BallNine ombudsman, Rocco Constantino, baby. How you doing?
Good. What's going on, guys? I'm already registered to vote in a couple states, so maybe I'll make a trip up to Connecticut, register real fast there, and help Bobby V out.
All right. Well, so today we're going to get into betting. It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. You can't even look at the back of the pitcher's mound without seeing DraftKings superimposed onto it during a playoff game. So I kind of want to start off with, I'm going to paraphrase Rule 21D. So to paraphrase, any player, ump, club official, anybody who bets on a game illegally, you're gone for a year. Now, if these same guys bet on a game that you're playing in or umpiring or what have you, you're out the door. I mean, you're getting the Pete Rose treatment. You're gone. So my first question is, is this a scandal waiting to happen? Does somebody slip up? Do they just, throw something on DraftKings? Do they get nailed? And is this just going to become an absolute disaster? Maury, let's start with you.
So no, it doesn't matter. It states right at the beginning of it that it's players or employees, somebody that's directly connected to the game. And of course, the reason for this is they don't want to somehow have people throw games. So this is different than consumers. We can talk about how it's hypocritical in one way, shape, or form, but the league will say, no, John Smoltz works for, if he works for MLB Network, okay, maybe there's a line there a little bit that you could say that there's something, but I don't see how John Smoltz betting on a game influences outcome. It looks bad. It looks terrible. But there's nothing in that rule. This is why the idea of Pete Rose and this thing doesn't fly, because it's basically saying an employee that's working in the game should not be able to throw games or influence outcomes. And that's the key reason why Pete Rose is out of there. That and the fact that he's not contrite. he was contrite, he'd probably be being reinstated by now.
Well, we know that for sure. Anthony, I want to ask you about something like this. Now, I mean, we're talking about.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be too philosophical, but I'll take it to the entire culture for a second. When they were using steroids to hit home runs, Wall Street was levering up. That is frankly a form of steroids in the financial markets. They were, you could say, hypocritical or not hypocritical, but they allowed it to happen. You then fast forward, the Federal Reserve, the presidents of the Federal Reserve have been allowed to individually trade stocks and bonds. So let me repeat that to everybody so they understand that. They get a first look at what monetary policy is going to be and what stocks and bonds are going to be affected. And then they're trading them into the markets until they were caught a few short weeks ago. So this is a systemic problem. We've legalized marijuana. Now, you guys could like marijuana or not like marijuana, but Kevin and I are old enough to remember when that was a no-no back in the day, even though everybody was smoking it anyway. So we're sitting here now.
We used to go find a guy to buy it from, Anthony.
You could say that this is less hypocritical, that they're doing this because, you know, and I know people were betting games. They were just using broken-nosed people to bet the games. And now it's a little bit more cleaned up, if you will. And I'm going to stick with Maury on this one. If the players are not betting on the games, and frankly, they shouldn't, because if they're throwing games, it's going to corrupt the whole system. Just look at the White Sox scandal. But here's the thing I would say to you, you know, I have a lot of players I run money for. I own casino stocks for those players. They're allowed to participate in gambling in the broadest way, but not the most specific way. And I think it should be that way. And I think I'm in Maury's camp on this.
Kevin, I want to ask you something because I know both you and Maury wrote a lot about this. One thing you wrote, Kevin, a while back is that, and Maury, you did as well, there are going to be sports books in every stadium. Now, how do you deal with that and not screw up Rule 21? I mean, Kevin, I'm very, very curious about your take on this.
The players actually have to, you know, going all the way back to, remember when Mickey Mantle kind of got banned because he was working for the casinos. You know, it's a different world now. I don't like it, but it's you know, it's a revenue stream, and it's going to be a big problem with the CBA coming up, how this all gets divided. You know, I'm not really a big fan of talking about baseball and business because I like to look at what's going on the field. It's not going to affect what's going on the field right now, but here's the problem. And I've seen it, and I've said it, and this commissioner wants every ballpark to be a casino. It's really that simple. And that's what's going to happen. Every ballpark's a casino. If you go into the Diamondbacks ballpark now, right before you pick up your tickets, there's about 10, maybe 8 or 9 windows, and Maury may know this better, where it's a Caesars Sportsbook right there. So you know, it's you know, it really hurts old timers like me who think that, you know, the game should not have this involved. But it's the way of the future. It's going to happen. We got to live with it. And I'm really sad for baseball because, you know, it used to be the game where you kind of wanted your kids to grow up emulating, and that's a great point Mooch makes about the steroids. If they went through that series, they're going to go through this. The problem will be, and I don't know if it'll happen, maybe the players are making too much money. The problem will be if a player decides to make a killing one day and goes and breaks Rule 21. That will be a problem. Now, I'm not saying that will happen. No player may not do that, but you never know what kind of situation a player gets himself into, you know, and if that happens, then we got a major problem. It's almost like they're playing with fire, but they're making money off it. The thing I don't like, and I think we think of it too big picture, and I'm going to shorten this up real quick. When I see the Fox Sports Bet come on the game in the 7th inning or whenever it comes on, it just takes my whole attention away from the game. It makes me think, like, what the hell am I watching? Let me go turn on Decades TV and watch an interview with Dick Cavett from 1982. Yes. And that's what I do. You know, it loses guys like me. Now, the guys who want to bet, you know, my kids are younger, you know, maybe my kids bet the games and do those kind of things. They're into it, but not me. Leave me out. And I just wish baseball would clean up the problems that it has and not create new problems. But, 4-hour game last night, 11 pitchers. The World Series is now played like a spring training game with, you don't know who the hell's coming up. It's not like, I remember going to World Series games all the time. Hey, I can't wait to see so-and-so pitch tonight, or, maybe Schilling's pitching tonight, or just pick a great pitcher. And I go all the way back, Gibson, all those guys way back when, Koufax. That's what I look forward to, seeing that matchup, that challenge. Can this guy rise above? Now it's going to be, hey, I can't wait to see AJ Minter come in the 4th inning, or, the game has lost its soul. The betting is just another point of it. And the everything, if you look at the TV ratings, they're down. They're still bigger than anything else that's on TV. But why in the world?
Because there's nothing else on TV, man.
Exactly. That's my whole point. So, yeah, it's a problem for baseball. But like every other problem in baseball, you know what? We're going to have to learn to live with it.
All right. Okay. So now this brings me to a question. Okay. You see John Smoltz, he's telling you, okay, these are the odds on Jorge Soler fouling this pitch off. You can bet on anything. These prop bets, they're everywhere. Now, baseball is obviously a little different than a couple other sports. It's passed down from generation to generation. Do you see this as, do you see a grandfather, a father and son sitting there making bets, drinking beers, doing whatever it is they're doing? And is this going to create a new generation of baseball fans? And, for lack of a better term, are they going to be just a generation of degenerates? I don't know. I'm curious.
Maybe. Look, I look at this.
Really?
I look at this a couple of different ways, right? I'm older. So that idea that it's like, hey, I just want it to be like the good old whatnot. Hey, I can go back to pictures from the 40s and there's advertisement, as big as life on the outfield wall. So this is not anything new. One of the things when we talk about our kids and whatnot is that, if you grew up with it and it was there, then it's nothing shocking. So I think the thing to look at here is that we talk about the players getting a part of it, and that may be problematic because what's going on with the owners is they go, we can do ancillary development, call it gambling, if it's a sports book or whether it's mixed use development, whatever. We're going to Ballpark Village, we're going to build something around it, and that'll be outside of baseball, but connected to baseball in the most threaded way so that you have that. So look, the owners are smart, whether it's investing in media companies, whether they build out BAMTech, which is now turned into Disney Plus and ESPN Plus, and sold that for billions off the back of the players, right? They did that through MLB Advanced Media, or whether it's ancillary development or a casino or getting in bed with the gaming industry. Look, it's not like they're the only ones. The NBA, everybody's doing it. I can bet on NASCAR. I can bet on the PGA. I can bet on, all of them.
You can bet on cricket if you really wanted to.
I can bet on anything I want. Now, do I find it unsavory and overwhelming the game when they start putting betting lines, like you brought that thing up, like, hey, here we are in the middle of the game, and this is brought to you by, and here's the line. Then give me a separate broadcast. Just give me a damn broadcast where I can sit there and I can watch it from a betting perspective. And ESPN's already where you get the bug around it that'll show the betting lines for everybody and the window of whatever the content is in the middle of it. Fine, go ahead and do that. Give me a traditional broadcast. Just give me options. And I think that the way that broadcast television is going, and we're going to see it on the streaming side, whether it's the Manning cast that we see, with football that ESPN is doing, or StatCast, broadcast for baseball, give me a betting one. If the people want to go ahead and watch that thing and go ahead and spend their kids' college money, well, okay, but leave the other content alone. I don't know if we're ever going to get it to the point where it's like, here's the line for every pitch and we get into some really odd thing. But the idea that they're going to start building these, because now it's not taboo. So you mentioned that there was mention about what's going on at Chase Field with the Diamondbacks. Steve Cohen is looking at building a casino right next to Citi Field. The Washington Nationals have one. The idea that any place that is going to allow for a sports book to have it near a ballpark is going to happen. Absolutely going to happen. And I think that one day the reason the A's in Vegas works is not so much about the idea of a great media market, or it gets oversaturated. It's a small market. It's oversaturated now with sports properties, whether it's the NHL, whether it's certainly the NFL with the Raiders.
The
And I think
NHL is absolutely there.
if the A's move there, you go, well, how does this work? Because there's so many games. It'll be development around it. And a casino absolutely has to be part of that equation. That's how they make that work.
Man, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's everywhere. I mean, I was watching the Devils game the other night, and it's behind the goalie, right? Superimposed on the glass, it says Bet365. So I mean, it's just sports books, casinos in arenas and stadiums and ballparks and cricket grounds and all that jazz. It's coming. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Let's
Can
talk
nobody
business
win?
for a sec. Okay.
Let's
We-
talk
we-
business.
Let's
Anthony,
talk business.
I got a question
We all
for you.
watched Mad Men. We
Go
all
ahead.
watched Mad Men.
Yes, we
Mad
did.
Men and that era, the gray flannel suit era, was basically an after effect of all those men and some of those women being in the American military. So you had IBM, ITT, you had a command control system. You had M. Donald Grant. Okay, Kevin, you're going to fall off your chair. M. Donald Grant.
Oh,
You know what I'm
geez.
talking about, okay?
Yep.
This was a command and control system. We then decided somewhere back in the day, we're no longer going to teach civics. Maybe that was the pot smoking at Woodstock that convinced us not to do that. And so now we're in a situation where nobody gives a you-know-what anymore. Nobody. So we're all prostitutes, steroid rage-filled whores. A-Rod, if you watch the A-Rod documentary on Netflix, you're like, okay, this is the biggest skivats of all time. Yeah, there's an A-Rod documentary on Netflix.
There's a
about how
Skavats A-Rod
how he
documentary.
was, it's like
Yeah.
it's like I Am a Skivats named A-Rod, and it's
I
about
know.
all the juicing that he did and what he
Nice.
acted like after he got caught and all the nonsense. And nobody cares. Put him on TV. He knows how to describe baseball. He's got a great baseball mind. Whatever his Skavats nature is, he's got a great baseball mind. So we have moved away from the post-World War II organizational structure of our society to anything goes. We're going to knock billiards around in the society. Anything goes. So Kevin said, God forbid if one of these guys blows a game, 100% that's going to happen. Okay. You can't have that many players involved and the stakes that high with not having one guy blow a game. Okay. I mean, go back. I mean, we're human beings. Like, look at the White Sox scandal 100 years ago. They had 8 guys blowing a game. So the point I'm making, we're there now. They want to make extra money. They're also worried about the league. Okay. The games are slow. You talked about a 4-hour
Do you think
game.
do you honestly, Anthony, do you think the players are worried about the league? Do you think they give
I don't
a
think they
shit?
think, I think the
No,
owners are.
I don't think
I
they
don't-
do.
I don't think the players are worried about the league because they're not
Thank you.
thinking like the businessmen that the owners are. The owners are worried about the league. How could they not be worried about the league? You got a 4-hour game with 11 different pitching changes. I was sitting in the third row last night. I had a butter knife in one of my eyeballs. I had to pull it out of my eyeball from the monotony going on. Okay. So and I love the game. And by the way,
I
Kevin
do
knows me
too.
a long time. If you told me tonight I was retiring from Skybridge and you gave me a 100 tickets and I could go see 100 games, that's all 30 or 32 ballparks, and I could see a series in all 32 ballparks, sign me up tonight. Just promise me one thing, I can have a program so I can keep score of the game. That's how much I love the game. Okay, I'm in love with the game. But the game is changing, and the people that you're trying to traffic into the game, the consumers are changing. What Manfred is doing, in my opinion, is a commercially appropriate thing for that game because he is gamifying. If you want that game to survive, my 7-year-old just came by. He's got an Oculus. He's got Fortnite. He can immerse himself in a metaverse.
Yes.
He can shoot people in Grand Theft Auto. Okay. Now you want him to sit down and you want him to dial into what is the guy throwing, a fastball, 4-seam fastball, a curveball, and is the kid up and back going to anticipate the pitch or not, and who's stealing signs on second base. That is a poetic thing going on. that
See, I love
old
that.
timers like me and Kevin can get.
Yeah,
But a
but I love
7-year-old
that. I love that. That's
Right, but you want to get the 7-year-old into the game, you have to gamify the game. The reason I'm in the money management business is because of Stratomatic baseball. Anybody remember Stratomatic baseball?
yes.
I'm in the money
Yes.
management business because I understand probability statistics and permutational outcomes from rolling those dice and using those split cards as a kid. You want to get them in the groove for baseball? Teach them what an OPS means.
I mean, come on. Do you really think that 8-year-olds give that much of a rat's patootie about stats? Really? Come on now. Come on.
I think they
man.
got to be no. The short answer is no. But once you
Thank
get
you.
them
That's all I
hooked,
need.
okay. But once you get them hooked on it, the answer is yes.
Yeah, but come on. Please. You really think that's gonna make what people love baseball? Get the heck out of here. See, I'm being nice. Come on, man. There's no freaking way. There's no way. The way
No.
we grew up watching Maury, no?
No,
You
man.
think 8-year-olds are a bunch of math nerds?
Maury, we don't
Come
even know
on,
each other. I
Maury.
feel like we
Go
grew up
ahead.
in the same family, me and Maury.
I know. Go ahead. No, Maury, go.
Maury's talking my
And then-
language.
and
Let
then
Maury
Kevin,
talk.
it's-
Let
Hey,
Maury talk.
Chris, you're taking this perspective from our old man space, and you're not thinking about
Is it?
where kids are at. Yes.
I don't think so. I'm sorry. I don't think so. But go ahead.
The average age, right? The demo that you think that we're targeting is a finite amount of time. Us old farts are not going to be around for a while. So where the
Thank
game is
God.
and what it's been doing statistically. So I was involved in Baseball Prospectus and all the baseball think tanks. Early on, we were like the internet baseball mafia, right? And now that is fully embraced. So the idea of analytics was like heretics, right? And it's quantitative. Now the problem with it, Chris, hold up. Let me tell you.
No. I want to hear it. I go.
This is the only thing that's bad with it, right? Is that there's so much data available and they're so good at it that it is really homogeneous. So what's happened is that pace has been killed by the number. And, we were just talking about this, where it was that many pitchers, right? You're getting into a situation where it becomes so selective and you're looking at matchups and it's really turned into a game where that is happening. So in the postseason, is it good? I don't know. 4 hours of a good thing is a good thing. 4 hours of a bad thing is bad, right? I don't want to be sitting there and going, hey, this bullpen is called by DraftKings, right? And we're going to another. So we always talk about this, about how the good old days, right? Well, the good old days for the games were, 90 minutes or 2 hours. That's before television, before there were commercials. But kids, back to what Mooch was saying there, that the situation with kids and how it is now, if you start off that way, it's going to be that way. When I talk about auto sports and I get into people freaking out over electric vehicle racing, it's because they've never been around it. If you grew up with that, kids that are seeing this now, and again, we're in a high amount of fragmentation, whether it's your Oculus, whether it's streaming, whether it's 600 options, your ability to retain eyeballs will acquire something. And that thing is pace. So that's what the game. So if hopefully gambling doesn't be part of like, let's keep the pace going so we can talk about it all the time. I see that as a problem.
I think I agree with you. I mean, 100% agree with you. But at the same time, I think pace of play is terrible. Imagine if you're an 8-year-old kid and all of a sudden it's like, cool, I want to watch the World Series. And you can't because it's like, oh, it's, midnight. You have to go to bed. You have to go to sleep.
Well,
What the hell can this team do?
Leave us West Coast people alone. That's a.
Well, no. Thank God we live here. And Kevin, I know. Yeah, I mean, you worked in San Diego for a long time, so it's great for you. But I'm curious about what Kevin has to say. I'm sorry, Maury, and I swear to God, I'll get back to you in a second. Kevin, go.
Well, I think, Mooch, does your son play baseball? Your 7-year-old?
Yes, because I want him to. Is he in love with the game of baseball? He's got other options now you and I, we would have used it. You remember the Spalding? We would have played
Right.
stickball. We would have,
About
you know,
weekend.
yeah,
Spalding.
right. We would have had a broomstick. We remember we used to tape those stickball bats. Okay, we were addicted to the game. They have so many options now, including the iPad that I'm talking to you guys through, that they don't. This is why Manfred, you know, I'm a purist. Don't get me wrong. I love this game. Okay. And Kevin, you know me a long time. I go to spring training. I sit in the stands. I love the game. But the game is not necessarily changing, but the people that would potentially consume the game, the variety of things in their life is changing. You have to accept that. And if you're gamifying the game, you're going to get their interest. And so I think they're doing the right thing. That's me. I want the game to survive. Okay. You ever go to Europe and people talk about our game? Like, what the hell are you guys doing? Right. You know, what the hell are you doing? But
They don't
I
get
used to
it. They don't get it. They don't get it.
Yeah, because I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the kid and I'm saying, okay, what is he going to throw here? It's a 3-and-1. He's got a runner on second. He's trying to hold the runner. What is he throwing? And what is the batter anticipating? And oh, by the way, where are the players in the field? Last night I was showing my kid why they were lined up in certain positions. Well, Dad, why doesn't the guy bunt down the third baseline? Third base is wide open. I said, because he's making $25 million a year and he wants to hit a home run. That's really the only reason. Otherwise, he could be laying bunts and, you know, improving his batting average, you know. But to me, you gotta get these kids juiced up about the game, and they've got other opportunities.
Well, along those lines, that's why I asked, like, you talk about the Oculus, you know, there's a thing called Win Reality. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Sure.
Win Reality.
Yeah.
And they're
Mhm.
getting, I wrote about that a few months ago, but they're getting the younger player now. So that
Mhm.
player can put on the Oculus. He can stand there and hit for a half hour. And that's the way. See, I think that's why I'm not an old man yelling at clouds. Like I said, I'm an old man yelling at the thunderstorm above me. But there's other things about you that can win. Now, if you bring the kids in and they play baseball through the Oculus, and then they start thinking about, because then that teaches you the next level, what you just said, how you look at every pitch, how we look at every pitch, how we, you know, I tweeted it last week. Why in the hell won't, well, I think it was TBS, show the fielders. Where the hell are the fielders? I want to see them. So all these things go through our minds because that's how we think. And the way to get the kids now is exactly through technology and things like that. I have a nephew, he's out of college, but he made a lot of money this weekend hosting a Fortnite. He's like an announcer for Fortnite. So there's so many more options for the kids. If baseball has to move along with those options, and I agree with that. The problem is, and I want to get back to something Maury said about they know too much, the analytics. Well, it's one thing, it's the middle of the season, but you'll see in the postseason, teams lose because they don't have defenders and if the smart teams hit the ball the other way, the Astros won without home runs last night. You know, basically you hit the ball, you put it in all the holes. That's where, to me, analytics falls short. They don't understand that this is a World Series game. The guy has a totally different approach, and that's why you lose so many games. And that's why you lose things like maybe your pitcher finds it in the 5th inning. Maybe he can go 7 innings. Maybe that'll save your bullpen for down the road. We're not just talking about this game, but they don't look at anything. It's my big problem with nerds. It's black and white. It's their way or the highway. They don't understand that a game can change and things happen. And
the butterfly effect. Yeah.
Pitching.
It is the butterfly effect.
I talked to scouts about this all the time. Scouts were so pissed off this year. One scout told me he's been to 4 games this year where guys were pitching no hitters and they were taken out in the 5th inning. So you think this is going to get better? This is in the minor leagues. So right. The nerds are pushing this stuff, and it's like drugs. They're pushing these drugs on the pitchers, and they don't understand that that we may need you later, deeper for a game. They don't challenge them. And these guys walk out now when they get to Ian Anderson. If I'm Ian Anderson the other night with a no-hitter, I don't care if I'm at 76 pitchers. You know, I'm pissed off, and I say after the game, now I got to do what the manager wants me to do. I walk off. I'm not happy. But you got to start – these players have to start standing up for the game. Until they do, they're going to be continue – the game is going to continue to lose fans. and they're going to continue to lose money. But that's just a small point, but that's where we're going.
Nice.